Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I have Frederick here with me. Welcome, Frederick. How are you today?
Hello, Urshka. I'm just fine, thanks. Nice to see you.
You too. I'm seeing some people are still joining, so maybe we'll give it another minute just to make sure that everybody that wanted to make this session is actually connected before we start. How is your day going?
No, it's good. It's good. It's springtime. Things are happening.
Frederick and I are based in Barcelona, for anybody that's wondering. Surprisingly rainy this week.
Yeah. No one expects that.
Yeah. All right. I think we can start. I'm just gonna do a quick introduction into today's session. Again, thank you everybody for joining. Today we're gonna talk about how retail has changed, especially in the year of 2020. Now more than ever, consumers are craving this human connection that comes from shopping in the actual physical stores, which were closed for a very long time. And now retailers had to learn how to recreate those connections by providing a human and memorable and seamless customer experience as well online. So in today's session, we want to discuss some examples of how retailers are innovating to keep their brands and stores relevant, how retailers are bringing the in-store experience online through omnichannel services like live video shopping and live streaming. And also we're going to touch on some business cases and share with you success stories of some of our clients. As I mentioned, today with me here is Frederick. He is our Chief Strategy Officer. He's Swedish, but educated in the US at MIT. He has been with the company since the beginning of last year, just before all these changes, before everything changed. So for sure, he didn't have an easy year, let's say the least. And his background is in strategy consulting, digital business, and media. So he was well equipped, I think, for the role and the challenges that were thrown at him. And now he's responsible for the future vision of our company and for the ecosystem of collaboration with commercial and technology partners. Welcome, Frederick. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Urshka. It's a pleasure.
All right, let's get right into this. So
what are we here to talk about today? We're here to talk about live video and retail streaming, and a topic which is very much on the tip of everyone's tongue, or it's in the conversation all over the place now. And people say that retail streaming is the biggest thing that happened to e-commerce since smartphones. And why is that? Why is retail streaming or live video having such a big impact? Because video is everywhere. It has become deeply ingrained into our behavior. People in general, or the great proportion of people don't read anymore. We consume video. We watch videos on all kinds of different platforms in different contexts. We also communicate via video. Telephone calls have gone down, almost disappeared. Even my regular conversations with my 85-year-old mother are by video now, and she values that tremendously, as we can all imagine. And so where does that take us next? It takes us into shopping.
Exactly.
If we can't go window shopping on the street because the shops are closed, what do? We do it by video. And this started to really take off. It's been around for some time, but it started to really take off in China about 3 years ago, where in 2020, video supported, could you go back to the previous slide, please? Video supported shopping made up 10% of e-commerce sales last year. And it's expected that probably next year, 2022, it will go up as high as 25%. And other Western markets, US and Europe, are catching up fast. And there's so many examples out there, Amazon Live, and all kinds of different platforms. And what's happening now, which is really interesting, is that it's changing from impulse purchase to reasoned purchase. So it's not just quick impulse buying something, I'm going to use a caricature, buying lipstick on Instagram, but it's moving into more reasoned purchases, buying appliances, buying consumer electronics, buying things that are supported by a human interaction. And the data around this supports the success. Really, consumers do love it. And it's not just something that, oh, that's fun. It actually makes sense for brands. proportion of add to cart, as we call it, or sales conversion rates are off the charts. It's really, compared to other online ways of selling, it's completely different. It's much, much closer to the conversion rates of actual physical retail locations.
And Friedrich, do you remember these QVCs?
Yes, I do, and I know that dates me a little bit, but those late night TV programs, I do remember those. And I think, why is it interesting to go back to this? And I think the reason that they worked at that moment was because of the human component. There's a person explaining the product. There's a person selling it. There's a person giving a degree of authenticity to the actual sales process, which allows you to create some of that connection or some of that interaction that you would otherwise have had to go to a physical shop for.
Yeah. Also, I think it builds trust, right? You see an actual person speaking to you, answering your questions, and maybe even going a step further from QVCs when you had to pick up a phone and call a call center, usually. Now you can actually just shop from the live stream, which is even more convenient.
Yep. And what's the new modern equivalent of QVC? There's these live streaming studios that people are setting up, and here these are just a few examples. And I think the interesting thing here is that not just that they go to great lengths to get the lighting just right and to make sure that the sound quality is good, or that they have God knows how many cameras in the picture on the right, but really that it's in fact not overproduced. It's quite authentic and human. It's somebody that you could relate to who's sitting in front of the camera. It's not a super slick produced video with computer generated graphics and this kind of stuff. It's human, it's entertaining, it's engaging because of that. And also importantly, in the way that it's delivered, the consumers self-select. You connect when you want. They run on long hours and it's a quick connection. It's the right contact at the right time. And the right time is now, when you want it. You click on it and it opens and away you go.
Yeah. Well, then it's not a surprise, right? This statement.
No, it's not surprising that, that it's expected to double in 2021 and double again, probably, or even more. I think that, it's truly taking off. And what?
Yeah, we just wanted to say why brands are now increasingly shifting their resources to live streaming videos.
It really starts to make sense, or it does make sense, for a number of reasons. First of all, it creates a live interaction. So it's two-way, it's engaging, it's authentic. And what does that mean? That's an engaging experience for the consumer. They like it, and you stay on. And it creates that connection. And with that connection comes a return for the brands. It's not just about brand value or some very marketing focus. It's actual sales focus. So it's lead generation, it's sales conversion. Yeah. And thirdly, in current times, and also once all of the sort of COVID restrictions or lockdowns are gone, you will still have increased reach because of this, either be out of time or out of distance. It creates an additional revenue stream that can either be always open or open without geographic restrictions, or really expanding the reach to the target audience.
Yeah. So now that we know what brands are doing, we wanted to share with you a quick preview in the new research that we conducted just this month. It's going to be released early next week. So I encourage everybody to come to our website. In our resources page, you're going to be able to download it and read through our findings that I'm going to share with you today, just a couple of them. So basically, we decided to do a research of consumers in the UK market. Why the UK market? Because recent research found that after China, the biggest e-commerce market in the world is actually UK. Surprisingly, US came second. So that's why we decided
third.
Third, sorry, yes, you're right. So that's why we decided to interview consumers from this particular country. And we wanted to find out the impact of live video shopping in these changing times for retail industry. So let's have a look at some findings. So these are some key findings from the whole research. 77% of respondents to this research would consider alternative retailers if their online buying experience was not up to their expectations. That's a really big number.
So if you don't get it right, they will switch.
Exactly. 79% of respondents say that if live video shopping was available, it would be their first choice and would purchase through this channel.
So they're willing to commit. They really think this is the most important channel for people now.
Yeah. 65% of respondents think real-time assistance is the most important factor when shopping online from consumer electronics brands.
So video is not enough. You can't just have a box opening video. It has to be real time with a person interacting. It has to be live.
Yeah, 49% of consumers would find the online buying process more enjoyable if they didn't have to visit the retail store and could speak with a brand expert in real time online.
So people still want that human interaction. They want to talk to the sales agent. They want to get something explained. They want that trust that comes from talking to a person, or if describing the product, and all of those things that you would have with a shopkeeper or the salesperson in the shop. But there's still a reluctance out there to visit physical stores. Be it due to changes in habit, and we become used to just staying home and shopping, or because people are genuinely concerned about being out and about.
Yeah, and then 35% of consumers think it would be helpful to see products virtually with live video shopping because they could get kind of the in-store experience online.
Yeah, so they actually value the ability to see the product to be demonstrated. And if that's, if it's consumer electronics, you show them the phone or whatever it is. And it also works really well in automotive. That's not what we're going to talk about today, but the automotive experience of going and being able to ask somebody, show me the trunk, or all of these kinds of experiences that you have when you visit a dealer, you can get them still through an online experience like this.
Yes, and then the last one is that 92% of respondents would switch to another brand if live video shopping or live chat channels were available to resolve queries in real time.
In real time, here the key, the important thing is that it's real time. People expect, I have a question now, or I have a 10-minute break at work now, or I'm lying on the sofa and I want to do this right now. It's not that I want to fill out a form and have them call me back later when I'm at work, or when it's not convenient, or they call you during dinner time, or whatever. It's the point is that people want to have that control of when the interaction happens.
That's very, very, very true. So let's dive into 3 key questions that I randomly picked out of the survey because I thought they were very relevant for this session today. We asked them, if live video shopping was available, would it be your first choice to learn about the product and complete purchase through this channel? 79% said yes, definitely.
So first choice, and this is not just a choice, it's first choice. And that's super important, obviously.
Next one that I wanted to share today is the question, why do you think it would be helpful for you to see products virtually with live video shopping while shopping online? It was a multiple choice question, and 48% said because I could ask the presenter questions about a product. 35% said I would get the in-store experience online. 32% said it would save me time, which I think it's very important, especially for me, or I think anybody that is in full-time employment. You don't really have time to run around different shops and compare prices and learn about, I don't know, a fridge that you need to buy. I just want to buy it online quickly, have it delivered, and that's it. 20% of people said I could buy the products immediately. So here immediacy was kind of important. 35% said due to COVID-19, I want to minimize going into physical shops and do live video shopping instead. And 26% said it would help me see the product in real time.
So I think here it's interesting that there are many different reasons, right? So to me, what that gives is that it's not only a narrow public that has this one specific concrete need to whom this is addressable. It can be for a broad number of reasons that people are interested in live video shopping, and each one of these is of course valid, and the specific needs around this can be addressed with slight variations or modifications to the user experience.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, the question, when it comes to choosing a brand, product, or retailer over another while shopping online, what service would be most helpful? So 40% answered real-time assistance, 26% said live video shopping, 26% said option to speak to an in-store expert online, and 8% chose unassisted support via chatbots.
And here it's interesting, again, multiple reasons, but also that there are different modulations or specific ways of implementing this, and I think one of the important elements is again, the human interaction. I insist on that a lot, the idea of real-time assistance and being able to speak to a person. And there are two ways of doing that. One is with a broadcast, a one-to-many type of interaction where you have a presenter sharing material, and then people can ask questions, which the presenter then respond to verbally or by speaking, or one interaction where it's a direct conversation that you have as it's called one-to-one with an agent that responds directly to your questions. And both of those are useful in different contexts, but very powerful.
I couldn't agree more. So now let's look at some use cases. We have seen that global brands that were working and using our solution were achieving up to 5 times increase in sales during live video broadcasts. So we wanted to share with you some success stories that really show how powerful live video streaming can be.
Okay, so the first one is a consumer electronics manufacturer in Central Europe. And what they do is they have a channel it shows up first on the front page of their website, but then also on a number of specific product pages or different pages of different groups of products. And what they do is there's then a broadcast channel where there's a presenter sharing different types of material almost all day. It's every hour on the hour for 40 minutes or something like that. So it runs a lot. And the different types of topics change. At one point they will be talking about some specific consumer electronics, other times about more white goods or things like that. And over the course of the time that we've been working with them, they've had about 4 million viewers. And of those, 28% are engaged. And what we mean by engaged means that they've stayed on the channel for more than 3 minutes. So that's a long time. For somebody who just drops into a website, if you can create content that gets them to stay there for more than 3 minutes, that's
every marketer's dream.
Exactly. And then the next step is that while they're around, 127,000 people asked questions. So they asked about the product, or they asked about availability, or in any broad range of types of interactions. But most importantly is that there was an increase in sales conversion of 5 times, between 4.5 and 5 times during the period. And what does that mean? That means, or what do I mean by that, I should say, is that while the website has a broadcast available on it, so while there's an agent or a presenter sharing some content, conversion on the e-commerce part of that website goes up by 5x, which is a tremendous result. And again, it's important that this is not ultra high quality studio content. This is a very simple background with an agent speaking. It's a human being just like any one of us who is describing whatever it is that happens to be the topic at the time. Very similar to going to listen to somebody speaking in a store.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but I just noticed that Leonardo Diaz sent over a comment. Thank you so much. He said most of online stores have real-time chat boxes. What do you think about that?
Well, yes, that's true. But chat boxes can have, you can have two components to that. One is it can be an automated chatbot, in which case you're speaking to a machine, which works very well for a narrow range of questions. If, in the case of service type questions, so you can
Or support, yeah.
Or support type of interaction for existing customers. It works less well for when you have an open, broad conversation. And it doesn't work so well for selling, because the responsiveness is not the same. And when you have a chat box with a human being behind it, then the difference is that it's just text. You know, that you don't have, you lose the nuances, you lose the ability to with tone of voice and all of the sort of human type of interactions from a voice. And not to mention the ability to have a video connection, which further increases trust and also allows you the ability to show things. I mean, to be able to demonstrate things, or turn the phone over and show the backside, or whatever it happens to be. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Next case that we wanted to share.
So then we have another case, which is the telco, completely different type of interaction. And here we have this telco in the UK had, we could call them genius sessions with experts, which were either describing new products or sharing tips on how to use them, or how to take better pictures with your mobile phone, or these kinds of things. So it can either be very product and sales focused, or it can be focused for content that creates engagement. And again, also here, it's I would say quite authentic production value. So a simple backdrop and a person presenting. And even during the full lockdown, they were able to run these presentations from their home. It doesn't require.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool. Which makes me think of another example I'll talk about in a minute. But so of the viewers that came on during this time, 16% engaged. So 16% created opened a conversation. 26% actually led to adding a product. And we had 2,700 hours of viewing time. So 2,700 hours of broadcast during this period, with 20,000 questions asked. And that's 20,000 valuable interactions with the consumer. And again, here also, conversion rate up by 5x. And also basket size has a significant uplift as well.
Yes, I think they were doing a really good job with these genius sessions, because they were able to sell a lot more accessories, not just phones, which is very important for telco providers, I think, and their bottom line and margins and so on.
A question for again from Leonardo, thank you, is for these companies, which is the average live video duration? Typically what they do is they run 40 minutes every hour, something like that. 20 minutes, 30 minutes. These kinds of timeframes are what ends up being useful. Typically, people don't watch for the whole session, but and
that's okay.
That's fine. I mean, what they do is they stay on for long enough to create an engagement, to create a proper connection.
Yeah, and to get the information that you need. If I get my questions answered in the first 5 minutes, perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and then the last example that we have today.
The final case, in this case, it's an automotive case with Hyundai in Mexico. First of all, we can give a quantitative return on investment of 3 to 1. And when they turned on the broadcast sessions, you're talking about 461% increase in the leads generated. So when you have a person, okay, let me take a half a step back and describe what we're seeing here. So what you see is when you go to the website, you see a session where a person is in a dealer showroom describing or showing, walking around a car in a live setting. And while this is happening, the number of leads go up by 5x. And while this broadcast session is happening, the people who are watching it have the option of clicking on a button and requesting a one-to-one conversation on their own with a sales agent. And that that factor doubled during the frequency of that doubled while the broadcast is happening. And this led to 8,500 leads, which then lead to a significant number of sales.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 11,000 questions. Again, 11,000 valuable interactions where you're actually doing something to support a potential customer in their decision journey.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, I think they were the first of our clients to achieve an audience over 1 million, which was like a really groundbreaking for us.
Yeah, it's hugely successful. And you wouldn't, I mean, if we'd gone back, if you asked me a year and a half ago, are people going to buy cars online? I would say, maybe that's not so likely, but it's happening. And and I think the important thing here is that all of these phenomena and the behavior changes have been accelerated by COVID, but they're here to stay. So these are not lockdown specific or things that will go away when we go to what some people call a new normal. No? These are things, lasting behavior changes.
I think so too. It's already obvious from, like you try it because you have no other option, and then you realize how convenient it is. And even though you can go to a store, why would you if it saves you time and you get the same experience as you would going into the store?
Right, because previously when you say, why would you go to a store? It's to talk to the salesperson.
Exactly.
And now when you can talk to the salesperson online, there you go.
All right, guys, that's it from us today. And now, if you have any questions, please type them into the chat box and we will be happy to answer.
And important to say what Urška was talking about before is that we this research that we've done will be coming out and publicly available next week. So if you wanna read more about that, just reach out there. But we're happy to answer your questions now.
Okay, there is a question coming in from Helen. Thank you so much for your question. What is the difference between Instagram Live and your solution?
I think there's an important difference here, and that is, well, from the consumer perspective, the difference is that you don't have to have an Instagram account, right? Now, Instagram has many people, a high proportion of people do have Instagram accounts, but that we don't depend on that. You don't have to have an app installed. You don't have to have any kind of permissions or anything like that. It lives on the website. And from the brand perspective, the difference is that the brand ends up owning the data. You own the lead, you own the connection to this consumer, and it lives on you have control over the whole experience. You're not dependent on what happens with.
And everybody that works in marketing, I think you're all aware how important it's becoming to have first-party data. Companies like Google, Apple, they're changing their policies regarding data sharing, even across apps, across platforms. So I think retargeting and marketing is going to become a bit more difficult in the coming years. We have another question here from Lisa. What kind of equipment do you need to start live streaming? That's a very good question, Lisa. Thank you.
It's very simple. I mean, you can start live streaming with our app installed on a mobile phone, and away you go. You can then from there you can step up and think a bit about your lighting or use external cameras if you want to have a broader view. But to get started, all you need is the app on your phone, and you need the IDs and the permissions from our perspective. But from technology's standpoint, it's extremely simple.
Yes, that's very true. We have also run some sessions ourselves at WISB, live streams. I think we're doing it weekly. Now we are changing to monthly. But yeah, it's very, very simple. I think the most important part is actually having a presenter and having a topic that you want to talk about that would generate a lot of interest from your audience.
Actually, one of our first clients in the Middle East inaugurated their presentations, their broadcasts by broadcasting from a car driving down the road. So they actually took it a step farther.
That was really nice. Yeah. We have another question from Nicole. what happens in companies that sell products that depend on other senses like smell and tact, like fragrances? That's a very valid question.
Yeah, that's a valid question, and we haven't got to the point yet where we can generate smell.
It's on the roadmap. I'm kidding.
No, there are a number of companies that work on synthesized smells, but generated in digital technologies. But that's not incorporated here, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. I mean, you can still enjoy the experience of going to smell fragrances. You have to trust the description based on of the salesperson. But to actually smell it, there's nothing we can do. And that applies to automotive too. I mean, people like to smell the leather in a new car, right?
Or test drives.
We can't do that either.
Yeah, exactly. We have another question here from Gavin. How does your electronics partner broadcast so many different products?
They have different channels. So they use separate channels on different parts of their website. So they would have one channel for telecoms technology, another channel for appliances, another channel for home cleaning or small appliances versus large appliances, these kinds of things. So they would use different channels that live on different parts of the website.
And one last question from John. How many times a day do you recommend live streams?
We recommend running it as much as possible. It really is successful. It's most successful when it's always available, so that people don't have to look at a schedule and say, oh, Thursdays at 1, because that takes away the spontaneity, right? You want to be running, I mean, it doesn't have to be 24/7, obviously, but it needs to be readily available when consumers might want to connect to it. So
we sometimes suggest to just look at your web traffic, and you can see when is the peak of when you have the most visitors, or if you are launching a specific product, maybe you would want to do it more often than otherwise. So yeah, there are different tactics that you can take. We have another question from Marco. What do I need to start broadcasting?
To start broadcasting, you need a license from WSB. You need to and the software loaded onto your phone, and away you go. It's really, and there's a small piece of JavaScript that goes onto the website so that it shows up on your website, and it's really that simple. Yeah,
I think we had clients going live within 3-4 days. It's very, very simple. All right, guys. Thank you so much for all your questions. I hope we have answered all your concerns, and that you have enjoyed this session. And thank you, Frederick, for sharing your knowledge with us once again.
Thank you, Urshka. It's always a pleasure to talk about. I find this stuff very, very exciting, so I'm happy to share it.
All right, have a lovely rest of the day. And if you have any questions, just reach out to us. We are also live on our website. You can talk to anybody from WSB just by connecting through our own solution. So yes, thank you again for attending, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.